Senator from Michigan.
Madam President, I join today with colleagues to pay tribute to the life and the legacy of Senator Ted Kennedy. Each of us here has lost a friend with his passing, and all Americans, but especially those in need, have lost a champion of government's ability to bring light to dark places. All of us stand in awe of the lengthy record of accomplishment that Senator Kennedy leaves us. It was a great privilege to serve for many years with Ted Kennedy on the Armed Services Committee and to witness firsthand the traits so well known to members of the Senate: the tireless preparation, the intimate knowledge of the legislative process, the relentless focus on justice and equality. Today, our citizens are safer, our military more capable, our troops better equipped because of his service. Senator Kennedy approached his work with diligence and dedication, but he also knew that work goes more smoothly when it is accomplished with friendship and good humor. It was possible to disagree with Ted Kennedy, but never to dislike him. His sense of humor was contagious, and his concern for those around him, from fellow senators to staff to the many often unheralded people who make the Senate function, ensured that he was loved as well as respected throughout this body. That love extends across lines of party and ideology, in part because of that good humor and genuine concern for others, for which he is so rightly known. But it was not just these qualities that endeared Ted Kennedy to figures of all political persuasions. It was the seriousness and good faith with which he approached ideas that differed from his own. In 1983, this liberal Catholic from Massachusetts traveled to the conservative Liberty Baptist College in Virginia, where he told the students, quote, "The more our feelings diverge, the more deeply felt they are, the greater is our obligation to grant the sincerity and essential decency of our fellow citizens on the other side." Ted Kennedy lived out that sentiment every day. We salute his ability to work across party lines, to achieve consensus, to work on a piece of legislation until doubters became enthusiastic supporters. He excelled in transforming nays to yays. Senator Kennedy was a master of our own specialized world, and his legislative legacy stands with those of the giants of this chamber. He tackled what some see as the great game of politics with gusto. But Ted Kennedy's life's work was not a game. Politics was not a contest staged for its own sake or in pursuit of power or prestige. Ted Kennedy was a master not of the politics of the moment, but of the politics of meaning. Ted Kennedy's task was to touch lives. He touched the family whose children have health insurance because of the Children's Health Insurance Program he helped establish, and the child who has a better chance at an education because of his work on the No Child Left Behind law. More Americans can fully participate in our democracy because of the civil rights and voting rights legislation that he pushed forward. We saw Ted Kennedy's passion for justice, tolerance, and understanding again recently when we were working on the Matthew Shepard local law enforcement hate crimes prevention legislation. I quoted him during that debate on that legislation when the defense authorization bill was on the floor, and I quote him again now. Quote, he said, "We want to be able to have a value system that is worthy for our brave men and women to defend. They are fighting overseas for our values. One of the values is that we should not, in this country, in this democracy, permit the kind of hatred and bigotry that has stained the history of this nation over a considerable period of time." Well, the children of our men and women in uniform have some of the best child care available, thanks to the National Military Child Care Act that Ted Kennedy championed in 1989. And he was actively involved more recently following the outrages at Walter Reed Army Medical Center when we passed the Wounded Warrior legislation in 2008. The lesson of Ted Kennedy's life and career is that politics at its best is not a game to be refereed by TV pundits. It's not a contest of poll numbers or a scorecard of grievances to nurse and favors to return. Senator Kennedy struck many deals. He brokered many compromises. He won many votes. But the true majesty of his career is not to be found in this chamber, though his work was done here. His lesson for us is that democracy is best understood in the homes and lives of its citizens. It is in the homes of families less burdened by want. It is in the minds of children freed by education. It is in the relief of parents who no longer fear for a child in need of medical care. It is in the souls of Americans who find inspiration in his triumph over tragedy and over his own shortcomings. It is in the hearts of the colleagues he leaves behind who will be inspired to rededicate ourselves to a politics that recognizes our common humanity and seeks common ground in the pursuit of justice. My wife Barbara and I will always keep in our hearts Vicki, the love of Ted's life, and will always remember Ted's love affair with the American people. Madam President, I yield the floor.